Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am doing a sourdough Q&A. A couple of days ago, I put out a question on my community page or community post asking for questions so that I could do this video. And so I'm going to be answering those questions today, and hopefully it'll help you out if you're brand new to sourdough or if you're having some problems with sourdough. Hopefully these questions will help you out. All right, so let's start at the beginning. I have tried for years to make a starter and it always smells like vomit. So I can't. Oh my goodness. Well, I will tell you, you shouldn't have given up because that is normal in the first several days of a starter. So what happens is when your sourdough starter, when the good bacteria is taking over any bad, the yeast is starting to develop, it has a very off-putting smell. It's not pleasant at all. But after 4 or 5 days, you start smelling more of a pleasant, yeasty smell. Now, it may take a little bit longer depending on the temperature of your home, but around a week, you're going to start noticing that it gets a very pleasant smell. So it's important to keep going even though it smells bad. That is so normal, and I get that question a lot, and a lot of people have given up because of that smell, but it is quite normal. So try again, start your starter again, and don't smell of it until like day 5 or 6, and you'll notice a huge difference in the smell of what it was before. All right, so the next one says, my sourdough never tastes sour. What am I doing wrong? That comes with age most of the time. The sourdough starter needs to develop and mature over time to really build a deep flavor that you will have in your bread. However, there are little tricks that can make your sourdough more sour. Number 1 is fermenting at a really cool temperature. So doing like a long fermentation in the refrigerator. So if you mix up your dough, let it sit out for just a few hours and then transfer it to the fridge for days if you want. The longer, the more sour that it's going to be. And that really makes a difference. I've also found that if you let your starter, if you're like me and you keep it in the refrigerator and it gets a liquid on top, that's normal. If you stir that in and use that starter straight after you stirred it in, it does have a bit of a more sour taste as well. So number 1, age, just time builds flavor. Number 2 is the temperature of your fermentation. So you may want to do most of your fermentation in the refrigerator, and that way you get that really tangy, sour flavor that you're looking for. All right, so do you have a sourdough pie crust? I am working on that. That will be coming soon, and I will make sure to put it on here as well. Oftentimes when I go to score my loaf, it's too sticky gooey and I can't get it to score or cut at all. What am I doing wrong? Well, one thing that helps is making sure that you don't over ferment the dough. That will make it more sticky and gooey. So the first thing I would suggest is start catching that dough about an hour earlier and see if it doesn't do better. Another trick is to put that dough in the refrigerator for hours, even overnight, and it will firm up. And then when you go to score it, it will be so much easier. Like, I don't score room temperature dough ever anymore after I found that little trick. Put it in the fridge, let it firm up before you score it. But it sounds like you might be letting it ferment just a little too long. Try to catch it maybe about an hour before you think you're going to need to do it, and try that and see if that works. All right, my starter and saved starter has a liquid on top. Am I supposed to pour it off? Does it mean I'm doing something? Do I need to do something different? No, that is completely normal. It's called hooch. It is a byproduct of the fermentation process, and it will even smell kind of like acetone. Totally normal. It's up to you. If you want to stir it in, stir it in. I do mine. Or you can pour it off. People do that too. It does make your starter a bit more sour, and that's a good thing if you like that sourdough flavor. If you like a milder sourdough flavor, then pour it off. But it's totally normal. And I would say that 90% of the time, there's a hooch on top of my sourdough starter. There's only this little window of time when it is, bubbly and domed and active, and then it starts coming back down and you'll get that liquid on top. Totally normal, nothing to change, nothing to do. Just decide if you want to stir it in or if you want to pour it off. It's really up to you. I always stir mine in, and I don't like the thoughts of pouring it off because that liquid does have a lot of yeast and good bacteria in it, and I want to keep just as much of that as possible. I started my sourdough starter 4 days ago. Is it supposed to have a smell that smells horrible? So we've got that question again. That's normal. That is totally normal. It will change. Give it a couple of days, it will change. That is just the process of building good bacteria, and yeast for some reason has a very off-putting smell. And so you're doing everything fine. Just keep going. It will be just fine. All right, here's a very interesting question. Have you air traveled with your sourdough starter? I want to take some of my mature starter with me when I fly to see family so I can bake bread and make dessert or two for them over a 2-week period. Plus, I'm gifting to a family member some of my sourdough starter that I'm bringing with me. Any tips on how to prepare? About 3 cups of starter. Okay, absolutely. What I would do is I would feed the starter and put it straight in the fridge. That way there's like the day before. So the morning before the day you're going to leave. So if you're leaving on Friday, on Thursday morning, I would feed it and put it in the fridge and just let it ferment in the fridge. Really slow that process down. The slower the better. And then when you put it in your jar to go on your trip, it will stay cold for a while, and you can have that extended period where it will be just fine. And even then, if you get there and it's hungry, then you can use it in a recipe and refeed it before you gift it to somebody, or you can give them their part and then they can feed it and it will be just fine. Sourdough starter will travel very well. I've known people who've traveled. I haven't personally traveled, but I know people who have with great success. I would just make sure that it's cool out of the refrigerator before you start the trip, and that way it will stay cool for quite a while. That's a good question. What's done to keep big air bubbles from forming inside the bread or just below the crust that aren't seen until the bread has been baked? Yes, that happens and sliced. That is a lot to do with your shaping. The tighter that you can get that, if you're making like a loaf, I like to drag it several times across the countertop. And I also like to pick mine up and slap it against the countertop 2 or 3 times to pull those bubbles that are in deeper out so that it doesn't make that crust or that big hole that you're talking about. That's happened to me. I find that if I take the time to shape it really tight and bang it against the counter a few times, I have never had that happen again. So I believe that will help you a lot. What ingredients do you use, and what's your advice on getting started for the first time? So it's just flour and water and air and patience. I use filtered water, and I use either an all-purpose unbleached flour or freshly milled flour. I generally have a lot of freshly milled flour on hand, but I do feed mine unbleached all-purpose too. To get started, just get yourself ready that it takes a little time to have a starter that's strong enough to bake bread. Actually making the starter active only takes like 5 or 6 days, but getting it to the point where it can bake bread may take longer, and just kind of set yourself up for that. You're building something that has to mature, but once you get there, it can be handed down for generations, and with proper maintenance, which is very little, it will last you your lifetime. So my first advice is make sure that you have a really clean jar. Make sure that you have clean utensils, because you don't want any bad stuff in there. It doesn't have to be sterile, but you don't want any bad stuff in there. And other than that, just get your flour, water, mix them up. Make sure that there's a loose lid on top so air can get in there and get out, and wait and feed it every day. I have a blog post on this. If you go to therosehomestead.com, search how to make a sourdough starter. I give you step by step. There's even a little card you can print out that gives you day by day what you need to do to make a sourdough starter. It's really easy. It just takes some time. All right. Hello, Mary. The only question for me so far is in your recipes. You call, for example, 900 grams of wheat berries. Does that mean measure out 900 grams of wheat berries, meal them, and use all the flour in the recipe? Yes. So when you do grams with wheat berries, if you have 900 grams of wheat berries, it will turn into 900 grams of flour. So that's perfect. I love these types of recipes. I don't do them a lot because they seem just a little bit fussy for me, but I do love recipes with grams, and I've been doing some of them, throwing them in here and there, you may have noticed, because a lot of people really like those, and I can see why. They are consistent. There's no questioning how much flour to add because it's already been worked out for you, and those type of recipes are really good. But yes, anytime it calls for so many grams of wheat berries, throw all the flour in. Also, when you say wheat berries, I have 3 different kinds: soft white, hard white, and hard red. Can you specify which wheat berries that you use? Yes. I don't use soft in any of my bread recipes. It's got such a low, like a weak gluten structure, and it has a really high hydration level. Not really high, but higher than hard wheats. But I will mix hard and white. I will mix or hard white and hard red. I will mix hard white and kamut. I will use spelt. Those are all hard wheat berries, and they work very well. You don't have to mix them, but I do find, especially if you're using hard red, if you will cut that with some hard white or kamut, it makes a little bit of a lighter loaf. Thank you for your gentle spirit in all things. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. Thank you, Mickey. That's so nice. All right, so okay. I'm hoping you will do more recipes soon. I saw a lady make chocolate sourdough muffins, sourdough pretzels wrapped around with cheese, focaccia. I have a focaccia. I need to upload it. I have the best success with your recipes, so get busy. You know, until I lost my old channel, most of these recipes were on there, and I'm slowly getting them back up here. I tell you where the problem is. I used a music service, and when I lost that channel, I canceled that. And because I lost, you know, the monetization of that, I was cutting, you know, things out that I didn't have to have. And I'm afraid to. Okay, my battery died. I'm sorry. What I was saying is I cut that out, and now I'm afraid to put those videos up that had that music that I paid for. And so I'm actually having to go and totally re-edit those videos with new music, and it takes some time. And so those are, I'm working on a lot of recipes. I'm going to be sharing mostly recipes over here from now on. I'm going to do it like I did with my old channel when I first started. It was just recipes pretty much. And I will throw in vlog videos from time to time, but I'm feeling called back to do recipe videos. So I am going to be bringing those back. So don't worry. I am working feverishly to get those back. I'm actually doing a recipe tomorrow, brand new sourdough recipe that I'm going to be bringing you all. And I am going to be making a recipe that was on the old channel that I didn't bring the video back yet. I'm making that probably on Friday, and I'm going to be bringing that. So honestly, this will be mostly recipes for a while because I want to get those back here on the channel. I have bagels, I have hoagie rolls, biscuits. No, I got my biscuits on here, but the one I'm making tomorrow is a Southern favorite, sourdough cat head biscuits. I'm so excited to make those. But be on the lookout. I'm going to probably start adding a lot of recipes throughout the weeks coming on this channel to try to build this channel up, because so far they've not shut me down, and so far they haven't sent me a message saying they're not, you know, they can't monetize me and stuff. So I'm just going to work on it and hope it works out. Will you talk about any new recipes you plan to try in new videos? Yes. So the cat head biscuits, I'm going to also be doing the hoagie rolls. I want to do a sourdough sub roll, but that'll be a little bit later. Sourdough chicken and dumplings. I'm actually doing a collaboration with a couple of channels coming up soon. One is I'm trying a recipe from across the pond, and she's trying my recipe. And so it's like comfort food from a completely different part of the world, and we're going to try that. And I think it's going to be so much fun. So that's going to be fun. And I'm going to be doing a soup timber, which I'm going to be making a soup. I can't wait to show you all that as well. I have a lot of ideas for sourdough recipes and recipes in general. If you have any requests, let me know, because I am game to try them all. Yes, another one. Please share more recipes. With this new channel, it's been slow, but I am coming back. I've shaken it off, and I said I am going to start bringing those old style videos back. And I said that got me where I was with my old channel. I'm just going to let it pull me through with this one. So it's going to be mostly recipe videos. If you're not familiar with the way I do my recipe videos, on the old channel, I talked through them. I showed you techniques. I showed you everything, and they just seem to do really well. So I'm going to be bringing those back. Okay, one more question. This is a long video, and I'm so sorry. I need more guidance once it is in the refrigerator. This is my first time ever. How do I know it needs to be fed? Okay, so keeping your starter in the refrigerator the way that I do, I feed my starter a cup of flour and a little less than a cup of water, and I just let it start to bubble, and then I put it in the fridge, and it will continue to ferment. I use that until it needs to be fed again. I don't feed it again until it gets low. Now, if you're going 2 or 3 weeks before you're using all of that up, then yeah, you may need to make like a discard recipe and then feed it. But within a 7-8 day period, I will use that starter straight from the refrigerator until the jar gets about this much in it, and then I'll feed it. That's my technique. I've been doing that for years. It saves a lot of flour, so you're not feeding it very often, and it works. Now, at first, if you have a brand new starter, it's not going to be as active, and it's not going to be as vigorous and good at rising your bread. So be patient. It will eventually get there. Just keep using it. Make other things. Make sourdough muffins, make sourdough pancakes, make sourdough biscuits, make sourdough pizza crust. All of that stuff will help to keep it, use it, feed it, grow it, and it will mature, and it will be, I promise, it will get there. It just takes some time. But I hope all these questions were helpful for you all. I'm going to start kicking it back old school. We're going to do sourdough Q&As. I'm going to do recipes. And I'm just going to do what I did with the old channel. Now I'm going to be bringing back old recipes that I'm not uploading to this new channel because of the music thing. And so I will be bringing those back. And I think they'll actually be better because my camera's better, my mic is better, and all that stuff. So I think it's actually going to be better content. And I appreciate y'all sticking with me. I haven't put a lot of work into this channel yet because I was just afraid they were just going to take it away. But the longer it goes, the more comfortable I feel that they're going to let me keep it. And I still have faith that I'm going to get that other channel back. I'm not giving up on that. So, all right. Well, that's all I have for you. A long video, but I had a lot of questions and I wanted to cover them all. I hope that I answered your question. If you have a different question, let me know because I will be doing these periodically throughout the weeks. And anytime I get just enough questions, then I will come on here and do a sourdough Q&A. I hope that it was helpful for you all. And I hope that you all are excited as I am for all these recipes that are coming up. I am really, I'm inspired to go back and make those type of videos again and bring them to this channel. And so, all right, well, that's all I have for you all. I hope you all are doing well, and we will see you on the next video.